and sing the Moldovan national anthem. And that was the motive for doing the bet. And as you mentioned, I wrote a book about it. The book did well enough. I put half the royalties towards a trust fund, and we opened a care centre for kids with cerebral palsy in Moldova.
Well, once again, the helicopters are bombing us, but Tony, clearly tennis is close to your heart because you're also the public face of and co-founder of Tennis for Free, and that's trying to get many, many more people playing tennis. Please tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, that came about. I don't know whether any of you will agree with me. I became frustrated a few years back by seeing so many park courts in the country empty, not being exploited, not being used properly. And at the time, there was a lot of soul searching of why we didn't have better, more depth in British tennis. And as someone who loved the game, I thought it should be available to everyone. And so it's all very well coming here in these beautiful environments, but we need it played in parks up and down the country. So we campaigned to make the courts free, and then we put in free tennis sessions for the people who live near those courts. And only this morning I've come up from one we've got in Joseph Hood Recreation Ground down in Merton, and we get sort of 40 people on 3 courts, incredible atmosphere, and we've now got over 100 sites around the country from a standing start. So we want to see that happen more and more. So it's tennisforfree.com. Have a look. Yeah, have a look.
Tony, I'm desperate to ask you about how you got into the top 5 in the pop charts a year or two ago, but I'm afraid we have to be interrupted by some tennis. It's most unfortunate. So, Tony Hawks, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on court Alberto Ramos-Vinolas and Juan Ignacio Londero. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we have our fast 4 format. First 4 sets, best of 7 games, tie-break at 3-all, and a pro tie-break if we reach a 5th set. We have sudden death deuces throughout the match, where the receiver opts on which side he wishes to receive the serve, and that is a sudden death point. And most controversially, the net cord is live for both serves, so if the ball falls into the service box, it is in play. Now, to the umpire's left, just taking a few overheads as a warm-up, I'm delighted to welcome Alberto Ramos-Vinolas from Spain. He's representing the now generation, age 31, and he's currently ranked 85th in the world, having been as high as 17 in 2017. He reached the quarterfinals of Roland Garros in 2016 and the third round of the Australian Open in 2018. He won the Swedish Open in 2016, beating Fernando Verdasco in the final, and he only lost to Rafa Nadal in the 2017 Monte Carlo Masters. He is a six-time finalist on the ATP Tour and one of the most consistent left-handed Spaniards on tour, only behind Feliciano Lopez and a certain Rafael Nadal. Please give a very warm Roehampton welcome to Alberto Ramos-Vinolas. His opponent today, representing the next generation, who currently lead 3-2 in this year's GANT Championship, is Juan Ignacio Londero from Argentina. He's aged 25 and currently ranked 58 in the world, having risen over 150 places in the rankings since last year. 2019 does seem to be Juan Ignacio's breakthrough year, as he won his first ATP title at the Cordoba Open before reaching the fourth round at the French Open earlier this month. Please welcome Juan Ignacio Londero. In the chair for this Latin challenge, Thiago Sturma from Brazil.
Paul there, who's done such a fine job comparing and hosting this event. So this, Anna, should look completely different for those of you who watched the previous match in the now versus next. We had a huge serving 6'11.5" Riley Opelka against Dustin Brown. But here I would think these two guys brought up on the clay courts will be seeing more rallies from the back of the court, I would think, almost certainly.
You'd be surprised if there's too many points from the net, I think. Both of them, I think, prefer the clay courts.
Yeah. Another lefty, Ramos-Vinolas, Spanish. Argentina used to produce a lot of men players from clay courts. Not so many big names. Not recently, maybe this guy's on the way up. 25, ranked 62, one behind Riley Opelka, I think, who was here earlier. How quickly, Anna, are they moving up and down the rankings? After every tournament, is that, or how do they sort of collect them all up every sort of couple of months and give it another? Or is it changing all the time?
No, it changes on a weekly basis. So you have a year-long ranking, and based on points that you've accumulated, you obviously go up and down, and then also points that you've had the previous year. If you don't defend them that week, you drop down, or if you accumulate more points, then you obviously go up. So it's changing every Monday. The new rankings come out, and people are moving up and down constantly.
And you can move 20, 30 places sometimes, or
even more than that. You know, for example, if someone sort of 200-300 wins a big tournament, if they go and ATP tournament, for example, they could shoot up over 100, 150 spots. So it depends on the level you're at as to how many places.
Ramos-Vinolas to serve.
Now 15.
Doesn't that serve look slow after what we've just seen? It's 89 that was against 142 that Opelka was hitting.
30.
Nice shot. So he started with a double fault and then a fairly tentative ground stroke. So. Well left. They're the ones you don't want to see a sudden gust of wind come in and blow them onto the line.
Those ones can make you look a bit silly if they just drop inside the baseline.
Yeah. So 2 break points here. Sudden death if it goes to deuce. So opportunity for an early break for the new generation.
Use. Deciding point for receiver.
He's picked the forehand side, the receiver. It's come through. Not particularly convincing, but he's just warming up. Do you know much about Londero, his game?
This is actually the first time I've ever seen him play. I know that he played in Eastbourne. I think he had a close victory against Jay Clark. And then a very close loss to, I feel like I want to say Verdasco perhaps.
Yeah, so okay. Looking at his shorts, he's sponsored by the electricity company.
Love 15.
Ramos-Vinolas has been as high as 17 in the world, so he's knows what he's doing. He probably had to defend a lot of points after having a great year, and that's why he's dropped back to 97 at the moment. Very accurate serve up the middle there. 92 miles an hour, so you don't have to serve them over 100 to get an ace.
Thankfully for me, you don't.
Yeah. He's missed it now. You do not see them miss balls as easy as that at this level. Very often, do you? I'm staggered that he missed that.
I think he was just a little bit nonchalant there.
Yeah.
Thought the point was over.
Well, could cost him dear if Vinolas can nick this one. So it's a sudden death point.
Deciding
A
point.
game that should have been his.
Londero.
It's a very nice whippy forehand there. Crunched that one onto the
1
line.
game.
Got out of jail. Let's have a look at the way he unwinds for this one. Crunch. It's a pretty, even in slow motion, the racket's moving quickly, isn't it there?
It is. It's a nice mixture of body speed and arm speed.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. Well, beginning to see where Londero does his damage. It's that forehand, isn't it? Whipped up. And he knows what he's doing at the net too. Just slapped it down the line there. Didn't seem to have much on it, but it kind of worked. Bang.
I think he just took it so early.
Yeah.
You saw the pace from Ramos-Vinolas' shot.
Deciding point for signature.
He's going to stay this side, even though that serve caused him problems from the lefty. I wonder if he'll swing another one out wide. He will. Well, it's called it out. I think he served another one that was in earlier in the game, I thought. And I thought that was a poor call from Londero to stay that side. Yeah.
I think so too. It was the same earlier in Fiona Ferro's match as well. She kept persisting with taking the advantage side against the lefty, and so that's a little bit confusing because obviously that's probably their favourite side to serve from. But
maybe they, at this stage, they're going, I'll get a bit of practice in on that, and just. So there's a mixture here, wanting to win, isn't there, but also wanting to up their game, ready for the big Grand Slam next week. I forget what it's called. What is it? The tournament that's coming up.
to begin with,
We
a
wrote it
W
down.
or
We
something,
wrote it
or-
down earlier, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, rings a few bells. I don't know if
Yeah.
someone can help us out with that.
We'll do a Google search. Anyway, it's coming up next week. Starts on Monday. I shouldn't think the grass courts are in better nick than this one here, are they? I mean, you couldn't fault this court, could you?
Not at all. It's looking absolutely pristine.
lets out a little yelp, doesn't he, Londero, even,
15
even
under.
on the serve.
He does.
I thought it was being called for a foot fault by himself. Let's listen up, see if he does it again. Just as he's reaching up for the ball. Yeah,
13 under.
well, it certainly worked.
Not the biggest serve, but pinpoint accuracy.
He does actually let out a yelp that says out.
I can see why you think
14 under.
it could be. Maybe it's to try and confuse his opponent
Well,
as
yeah,
well.
I mean, it could be very confusing.
Game London.
Good serving there.
2 games all, first set. Love 15. Dino.
I wonder if we'll see one of them serve and volley at any point during this match. I doubt it.
I think that could be slightly wishful thinking, but
13-15.
oh no, he hasn't.
Oh.
Again, another guy who has forgotten the rules.
Forgotten to return it. They're live when they hit the net on the serve. That's a nice point.
14-15. Ramos-Vinolas.
So that'll take him into a guarantee of at least a tie break, because at 3-all they play a tie break. So he can have a charge after Londero's serve and try and sneak this first set. Doesn't look to be a lot between them, does there? It's, we've got quite similar games.
I think both are clay court specialists, and they both have most of their success on the red stuff.
So it used to be, whether it's still the case, a lot of the clay court specialists used to come over for this short grass court season.
Sometimes even just Wimbledon.
Yeah, and just do their commitments, lose early and go, and just thought, well, I don't like this stuff. But I think with Nadal winning a couple of times, they've thought we've got to up our game here and learn to play on this stuff. And they do give a better account of themselves, don't they?
I think also the change of conditions a little bit. The fact that the conditions have got a little bit slower as well have made a massive difference.
Yeah. Changed the pressure on the balls slightly, and changed actually changed the grass seed a little bit, I think, at Wimbledon.
I think it's a little bit more, it's a little bit slower, higher bouncing as well, so kind of favours more the hardcore kind of player nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nicely done.
15 all.
Yeah, that's a perfect play.
30, 15.
Send him out wide and then whack it down the line.
Could have even maybe approached after that one, but
Yeah, it's not in their natural instinct, is it?
no. But this is where
Oh, he forgot to play there again. Vinolas is on it, but Londero keeps forgetting that
30 all.
it's live after. We had day one here, we had Songa, didn't we? Just never got the hang of that rule all the way through.
not at all.
Well, that is a high lob.
40, 30.
Thought he was in a position, they had a bit of time to hoik up a good, more aggressive topspin lob, you know, but he went for the height, and with this wind blowing around, it just blew it out.
Yeah, not done.
Topspin
Games
lob.
all first set, tiebreak.
Murray, of course, has played that shot so well and won the Davis Cup for Great Britain with a topspin lob. It's an aggressive shot if you play it right. It's not defensive at all.
Tough to use though in the men's game with the guys not coming forward necessarily as much.
Yeah. Did he miss it? No, he got it.
You got it.
That was much more like a clay court point. They'll be used to playing those ones. He does well here to get that angle. Yep, he made it all right. Good touch. Tie break, of course. He's got a mini break under his belt.
2-0, Londero.
The mini break not quite as significant as it was in the previous match when we had a 6'11.5", 142-mile-an-hour server. That's a nice play by Vinolas coming forward.
2-1, Londero.
That's a play that you might not do on the clay, but beautiful slice approach, and then a good solid volley.
Textbook stuff.
It's nice to watch as well. I love that kind of grass court tennis.
Just be nice to see them use it a little bit more often, especially having so much success with it.
Three-one, Londero.
Unforced error, no need for that. Bread and butter backhand for him, really, wasn't it?
He'll be annoyed at himself for missing that and handing the mini break straight back.
Oh, he's done it again.
4-1, Londero.
Players must love that when they get just what they consider almost like a free point. They don't do anything except just get it back and they get the point. don't want to hand your opponent 3 points.
Not at this level. Every point is crucial, especially in the tie breaks.
Yeah, you want to make them, don't mind losing them if they play a spectacular shot, but don't do that and just give it to them.
4-2, Londero.
They're both doing it.
Tried to be a little too cute with that drop shot when he pretty much had the whole court to aim for.
Yeah.
Londero. Three.
Just go up the middle.
Londero. Londero.
Well, it was important Vinolas hung on to that, or he would have been 3 set points down. But he's got to nick one of these points off the serve here, otherwise he'll lose this first set. It's a nice play. Inside out forehand. Almost wrong footing. He just didn't know where he was going to go with it. There he is, just across the court like that.
It's the beauty of men's tennis these days. The guys are just so good at disguising where they're going to go, and they can hit it anywhere on the court.
Set point, yeah, he's taken that. So, first set to the Argentinian, the next generation. So the format of this event has been the young players represent a team called Next, and the older players are representing what they're calling the Now generation. I think it's 3-2 to the Now generation at the moment, so I think a Next win would make it a draw for the first time apparently in the history of the championships. So, but they're really just playing for themselves out there. I don't think there's a sense of
unity.
We're in a team here, but it's an exhibition event, isn't it, for them to get match practice prior to Wimbledon? Really, and it's a great treat for all the members here and the people that live nearby. It's a lovely setting, beautiful court. Seeing tennis as good as you'll see at Wimbledon, but in a more relaxed atmosphere.
They can get a little bit closer as well, and the players are a little bit more relaxed than they would be going into next week.
Yeah, they've been smiling in previous rounds or previous matches. We've seen throw in the odd underarm serve and mess around a bit, and we had Francis TFO, the young 21-year-old American, joking around and chatting to all his opponents in between points. Been a pleasure to watch.
15 up. Up. 14.
Londero got to the 4th round of the French Open, so he knows what he's doing on a clay court, that's for sure. 4th round is that's the 2nd week, isn't it?
14, 15.
Yeah, start of the probably either the middle weekend or very start of that 2nd week.
Yeah, nice to make it into the 2nd week of the slam. Something I've never done.
Londero.
Well, if it was going to happen now, I'd only be invited to
Game
the 2nd
second.
week, wouldn't I?
I think I've made 2nd week, but it was just because of rain delay, so I don't think that, does that count? Can I claim that?
You can have that. And what was that in the?
Mixed doubles, I think it
Okay.
was, with Johnny Murray.
Okay, great. And who eventually did you succumb to? Can you remember?
I think it was Dmitry Tursunov and Vera Dushevina, I think.
I think there's going to be very few people phoning in
Tina.
and saying that's not correct.
I definitely remember Tursunov. I think I might have plucked Dushevina out of the air, but I definitely remember it being a Russian lady we lost to as well. Big hitter.
Tursunov Russian as well, wasn't he? Or
He
is
was.
Yeah.
He is, rather.
Yeah.
But I think he has lived in America for a long time and has a definite American twang, and it's got the whole surfer style going.
Okay.
Yeah. 13, 15.
Yeah, just hold the shot there, waits to see where
14,
the opponent's
15.
going, and then hits it behind him.
Ramos-Vinolas. Game on 2nd set. Tina. Tina. Out.
Overrule from the umpire there. And the net cord just gave Londero a little bit more time there.
Tina.
Sits up, doesn't it? And then he just got less pace on the ball, and you can go pick your spot. Didn't want that let cord.
Game. Londero.
And Vinolas
Londero leads by 2 games to
not
1.
quite got his rhythm
Second
yet.
set.
Has not quite showing the form that's got him into the final of 6 ATP events, and Londero, I think, looking more solid on his serve at the moment.
It's looking a little bit more solid in general as well. Bringing that clay court form onto the grass.
this format that sets can be over fairly quickly. I think we had one that was over in about 10 minutes yesterday, didn't we? Was it on Monday? We had a very quick set. There's 4 love if you have some quick games. It's
I think it was even 9 minutes.
yeah. Oof.
15 up.
Ball just teetered on the net there, decided which side it was going to come down.
Ramos-Vinolas.
Warming himself up a little bit there.
2 games all, second set.
Said he was struggling a little bit. He produces a love game just to embarrass me slightly.
Looked like he went after the serve a little bit more though. Got up to 114, whereas before he's just sort of around 100 on those first serves.
Yeah.
Up.
Looking like we could be heading to another tie break, which would mean all we've had today, in fact, in the 2 men's matches is tie breaks so far. Because the first match was won 4-3, 4-3, 4-3 in 3 tie breaks by Opelka. We expected slightly different in this one, didn't we?
Thought there might be a couple more breaks as
Right.
as neither guy serves
A huge.
are the biggest
Yeah.
in comparison to what we've seen.
But they've been a serving
The leads
accuracy.
by 3 games to 2 second set.
Where they're so good is this: if the return is just not quite there, they can whack it away on that second next shot, can't they, with their big ground strokes, or at least establish the upper hand in the rally. Do you know what Rafa Nadal's preparation for Wimbledon has been this year? Was he played a grass court tournament before?
No, he hasn't played anything. I know that he practiced at the Mallorca Open, the WTA for women, and I've seen him there the last couple of years when I played the tournament, and he takes a court and is on there for hours upon hours practicing and getting used to the grass, and then.
So they have a grass court in Madrid.
And he's in Mallorca. He lives in Mallorca.
Right.
So they have the.
They built it especially for him, probably.
Potentially, but they have the women's WTA event there the same week as Birmingham, potentially.
Yeah.
So I know that he's been there the last few. So he was there again, and then I know that he played a one.
Yeah.
So he just got 1 or 2 matches under his belt.
He's been helped a little bit by the restructuring of the men's game, isn't it? Because it used to be he'd have to come from the French straight to Queens, wasn't it, when he was playing Queens? But he didn't play Queens now, but that's what he used to do. I think he'd almost have a day off, having had a massive win in the French, and then straight onto the grass. He never moaned and got straight on with it, didn't he?
No, he's not the type of character to moan too often. Obviously, he wasn't best pleased at Wimbledon seedings this year for being placed as third seed, even though he's number 2 in the world. But for the most part, he won't say anything.
Love 14.
Oh no, this is trouble for Ramos-Vinolas. He's saving. He's got to save 4 set points here. Love 40.
Game in second set, Londero.
Just looked slightly out of sorts in that game.
Okay,
Londero up to the pace and was all over him. Break to love. 2 sets to love lead. It's a long way back now for Vinolas.
It is, especially with Londero serving in this next set. He needs to get us a quick start. Otherwise, it could be over in 3 sets.
Yeah. Let's have a look at those. The 62% first serve's good for Londero, isn't it? And 17 points to just 9.
Time. Third set, Londero to serve.
So, Londero, if he can get a good service game under his belt and then break, he'll be well on top of this match. So he just upped his pace a bit to break there. It's impressive stuff.
Yeah, he's been very impressive so far, I think.
I should explain that Anna's gone for a break and I'm joined by Luke.
That's right. On the commentary.
Anna hasn't just changed her voice, or so you're in Luke.
Yeah.
Spitzinger, isn't it? Is that right? The name?
Kritsinger.
Kritsinger. What's that? Is that a
German, actually. Yeah.
German?
Can be a tough one. Yeah.
Say German or Austrian or something like that. Yeah. Is that first generation, or is your father German?
No, it goes a lot further back.
Does it?
I think it's great grandfather, father, and then my father's actually South African.
Okay, there you go. So he's very accurate with that forehand down the line. He's played it a lot.
30-15.
It's been very effective in this match. Yeah.
Gets a lot of speed on that forehand, on the racket speed.
It's definitely been a very different match to the one we had before.
Yeah.
A lot more rallies.
Absolutely. Yeah, just 30 all.
30 all.
Yeah, if Londero can win this set, he'll take the next generation to the GANT Championships. Get the trophy.
Yeah, is the score?
I think it's 3-2 for the next.
Is it?
next
Right,
yeah.
so they could win it with a 4-2 win here. Okay.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Certainly looking favoured at the moment.
Yeah.
Looking very confident, isn't he? His body language is good. There's the let cord that's live. And picked the wrong place. Yeah. just right. Vinolas is just waiting for forehand. So, sudden death point. And he's, which side's he going to pick, Vinolas?
Looks like it's taking the ad side.
Yeah. He's a lefty, so he's might prefer that side.
Ramos-Vinolas.
It worked well for him.
Came out of nowhere. He was looking like he wasn't on top, and he's got the
First game, 30 seconds.
his first break of the match.
That's one thing we didn't see in the last match. Break of serve.
Absolutely. We were just saying we thought this match until the break in the last set was going to go to tie breaks as well. All we were going to see today was tie breaks, but we've had a couple of breaks of serve now.
Good breath of fresh air. Strong serving there from Ramos-Vinolas.
Always want to consolidate. That doesn't really count as a break if you get broken straight back. It's
very true. That's what my coach always said. It's not a break until you hold serve in the next game.
yeah.
Ramos-Vinolas.
Yeah. Well, it's just amazing how quickly
Ramos-Vinolas leads by 2 games to love. Third set.
it looked like Londero was on top at 40-30 and got him back to deuce, won the sudden death point, hold serve easily, suddenly 2-love,
Just like that.
in a couple of minutes.
Alberto Ramos-Vinolas definitely has that lefty serve down to a T, but Londero seemed to be in control of it until then.
And he's just hit a beautiful two-hander down the line. He's come on to his game. Wow. If he can get this game and serve out, could be the quickest set we've had this week.
He's on a roll now. Big opportunity there, second serve.
Yeah.
Missed the return.
Oh, made the wrong call there, didn't he?
Yeah.
Had to take that a bit earlier. A little bit of inexperience of grass there, perhaps, I think.
Yeah, he misjudged it there.
Yeah, you don't want to move backwards when you get to the net. Wow.
Quite a loose game.
New balls, please. Ramos-Vinolas leads by 3 games to
Didn't
love.
look like he was going to drop serve at all, and suddenly he's dropped serve twice. Vinolas will be serving for the third set, and it's match on.
Yeah. Yeah, a few unforced errors there, and Ramos-Vinolas is dictating the set. Shot of the people there. The people that are sitting in those seats that are in the full sun on
the plastic is quite hot. It's a very, very hot day, so they're quite brave. Most of the people have scurried up the back and are sitting under the trees, and you can just see them all there.
Yeah, in the
So
shade.
it looks like it's not a good attendance, but either end under the trees, that's where everyone is.
Yeah, that's right. It's very hot out there in the sun.
Vinolas serving with new balls then to try to take this third set.
Yeah, you would fancy Ramos-Vinolas to close us out on this game, especially with the new balls, and
Yeah.
it's always easier with the new balls on the serve. But just threw in a double fault, so
And then a missed forehand.
15-13.
Just when one player gets a bit of momentum, they start making errors. And that was a wide serve and serve volley tactic. He nearly didn't do enough with the volley, did he?
that's right, and that's so effective on this surface, especially with a left-handed serve that he has. Works so well. Took the guy completely off the court, and
Serve and volley, which we thought we wouldn't see at all in this match, but we have seen it once. And that court's live, of course.
14-13.
brings up two set points here. Will he throw in another serve volley?
I doubt it myself. Double fault, which is suddenly.
Deciding point receiver.
So it's still a set point, but it's also a break point. It's staying the same side, so try and get one in this time, Vinolas.
Game third set, Ramos-Vinolas. By 4 games to love. London leads by 2 sets to
He
1.
was always on top in that point, wasn't it? It was driving his forehands, and then they were just coming back on slices, and
Yeah, it was very, very well constructed point, and finished off a really, really nice inside-out forehand to the open court.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, as we reach the meat of this match, I'm just here to ask if you would be kind enough to stay with us at the conclusion of the match. We have one of the fastest presentation ceremonies you could possibly hope to enjoy, but it's extra nice if you'll stay with us just for those few moments while we present the trophy to the winning side. So do stay with us at the conclusion of the match. It'll all be over very painlessly, I promise.
Time. Four sets. Londero to serve.
I'm rejoined by Anna, who's had a little break out of this hot tent where we're commentating and into the even hotter sun, presumably. Or did you get in the shade?
No, I stayed in the shade a little bit, but remembering how much of a sauna this tent is.
Yeah. It was an odd set that we just saw.
Love
It was,
15.
Londero started off like he was on a roll from the previous set and just lost his serve out of nowhere, then lost it again, and it was almost like he lost concentration.
I think that's sometimes what happens. You notice that in 5-set matches in the Grand Slams as well, that someone can go a couple of sets up and then lose that third set very quickly.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep the momentum going for the whole duration of the match.
Yeah. Nice wrong footing forehand. Of course, these two players won't be too affected by the heat, will they? They would have grown up in playing in these kind of conditions every day, I would imagine.
Yeah, they would have. This is, I mean, the temperature's dropped a little bit, which is quite nice from earlier in the day, but they'll be very used to hot conditions and won't be fazed by this at all.
And of course, playing on the grass is always cooler as well. It's just a nice surface to play on when it's hot. Yeah, just stretching.
Use deciding point. Receive the shot.
Potential of it going to a 5th set at this rate.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. What a point to make your break. Lovely.
Game 4 sets.
Let's have a look at that again. Look, he's over here. Just didn't quite whip it down the line enough, did he, Kate? Made just a good court coverage nonetheless from Vinolas. Net coverage.
And a smart play going down the line with that as well, because Londero was covering the cross-court volley.
Absolutely. So he keeps his little run going. That's 5 games in a row now for Ramos-Vinolas.
Love 15.
Inexplicable error. Played that a few times. Serve and volley when he's gone out wide. It's the second time he's done it, and it's worked both times.
It's a very successful play to do that as well.
Yeah.
30-15.
It looked like it did take a split second for him to remember that, but
that's right.
Managed to get it in.
Oh.
30-14.
So 2 break points to come straight back into it from Londero. Good way of stopping one.
Deciding point for receiver's choice.
Unsurprisingly, he's picking the other side.
See if he goes for a slider down the tee.
Finds another big serve. So 6 games in a row for Ramos-Vinolas.
Ramos-Vinolas leads by 2 games to love. 4 sets.
Can Can he keep that going? Well, stop the rot now. What do you tell yourself as you're like a player like Londero? You've suddenly lost 6 in a row out of nowhere. Just keep going, I suppose. But he's lost the rhythm a bit.
A little bit. I think you kind of maybe tell yourself to go back to trying to be solid. Obviously his game style is built around being a very solid baseliner and then using that forehand to attack a little bit more, but it just seems like he's lost that solid element to his game at the moment, so just kind of go back to basics and build off there, really.
Well, he would certainly be helped by a game with a lot of first serves in, and he hasn't got any so far. It's a lovely slice that meant Londero had to hit a winner. Anywhere else, Vinolas would have just dispatched it. So he's love 30 now. That's the huge forehand that he had earlier. Just slightly lost his way for a bit, but watch this next one. It's too short, wasn't it, from Vinolas? He can just whip those away. You've got to get the depth.
Londero gave himself slightly bigger margins as well there.
40-30.
So he's kept himself in this set. It was a must-win game for him, wasn't it?
Ramos-Vinolas leads by 2 games to 1. 4 sets.
New set of ball girls coming out. They've done a great job, haven't they, Anna?
They've been fantastic.
So they probably don't get as long to train as they do for Wimbledon or whatever, but I have to say they've been moving those balls around with great efficiency.
They've had to do a little bit of dodging out of the way of serves as well.
Yeah. With a break then. Want to hold here. Just missed.
15 double.
It's handy. 2 aces just when you need them. That's the play. Making that along the first 2 sets, and it just hasn't had the opportunity so much here, but when they fall short to that forehand, he just dispatches them.
Ramos-Vinolas. Ramos-Vinolas leads by 3 games to 1. 4 sets.
Staying ahead by that
Argentina.
Yeah, stretched him.
15 all.
Seems to have found his range a little bit on that forehand again.
Yeah, he's going to need it if it might go to a champion's tiebreak. He'll need to be on his game.
I think he might have hit himself on the leg after
Did
that
he?
serve there.
I'm glad to see they do it as well.
They're really painful when you do that.
Yeah, you can injure yourself properly that way, can't you? It's finding some big serves. Okay, so he's hanging in there.
Ramos-Vinolas leads by 3 games to 2, 4 sets.
So we know when we reach this stage that this match will be over within the next sort of 10 minutes or so. If Vinolas can serve out, we get a champion's tiebreak. If he doesn't, we get a tiebreak. And if Londero wins it, that's his match. And if not, another champion's tiebreak. So maybe 12 minutes. Yeah, Luke and I were discussing earlier whether Wimbledon has done anything about the tie-break in the final set yet. There's still no tie-break in the final set.
I think there's been a rule change where they reach 12 all rather than just keep going. So I think once it gets to 12 all, I think there's a tie-break.
A champion's tie-break or just an ordinary tie-break?
I'm not 100% sure, but
that's a good
some-
rule.
I would probably say just a regular tie-break.
Yeah.
I think.
I think that's needed. I would think all the players would want that, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
They don't want to. They could be quite apart from the fact they could get injured as it becomes a grueling match of attrition. They've also got to think about the winner being able to recover in time for the next round.
Yeah, I think it's probably the best decision, but also you maybe wonder a little bit why they haven't brought it in at like 9 all, for example, rather than 12 all.
8 all, you know, like when the tie breaks first came in, they were in at 8 all. I think that's enough. You've already played 4 sets.
13-15.
It'll come down that perhaps they're just doing it in stages.
Maybe.
14-15.
Of course, this year at Wimbledon, the #1 courts cover will be available as well. That's on a rainy day. Well, this time we'll be
And
able
4 set, Ramos-Vinolas.
Right, so we are into the
2
Champions
sets
tiebreak.
all. Ladies and gentlemen, to decide the match. Match tiebreak to 10 points for good points.
Do stay with us after this final deciding tiebreak, ladies and gentlemen. The cocktails will still be cold and the garden party will still be there. You don't want to miss this presentation ceremony.
That's Paul Mendelsohn building up the presentation ceremony as best he can. But of course the prize is
Fine.
to the next generation team winning, the younger players, or to the now generation team. Force a draw. It's 3-2 at the moment, we think, to next. Is that right, Anna? As you understand it? Or
I think you could be right, yeah.
Match tiebreak.
Champions tiebreak to decide this match.
focus your predictions on this last one. See if I can get another prediction wrong.
All right, well, I'll go Vinolas for this one.
I don't know why I let you pick first. That's a problem.
You can go Vinolas as well.
No, I'll go Londero.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, well, he's held his serve nicely. There's not much between these players, so you could definitely go either way. First mini break.
2-0 Londero.
Made the perfect start to the tie break. 2 mini breaks. If he can serve here, get him well, he'll get into a 5-love lead. Oh, that was a stunning slice. Low over the net.
3-1 Londero.
Almost a must-win point for Vinolas, that one. 4-love is a long way to make it back, although this is a champion's tie break, so up to 10, you've got more time.
4-1 Londero.
Very nice serve. Put it behind him.
4-2 Londero.
Change ends every 6 points. It's a rule really to protect them players against difficult conditions like a heavy strong wind or the sun or whatever, but really won't make, there's no disadvantage either end today, I don't think.
No, not really, not at this time of the day. The sun shouldn't be an issue for either player. And the wind's died down. Perfect conditions on both sides of the court.
So my man, Vinolas, who I predicted to win, has just got himself back to full threes within range. It's only a mini break down now. Oh, that forehand, he whacks it down the line, doesn't he?
5-3 Londero.
That's what he was doing in those first 2 sets. Found his range again in this tie break.
Halfway there, he's got 5 points, he needs 10.
6-3
Oh.
Londero.
And did he leave that, or could he not reach it? But the let cord makes it live and he gets an ace.
Well, I'm happy my guy got the net cord.
Yeah.
See if I can actually get one prediction right to finish the week on a high.
Slips here. lush at the back there, isn't it? He's unleashing that on the big ones.
7-4.
Gets himself another mini break. And we'll serve one more from this end, then they'll change again. But he's nudging closer.
Londero.
Hands one back with a double fault. Those few extra points up to 10 just make it a different kettle of fish, don't they? He would have won this match if it was just an ordinary tiebreak. He would have won it 7-4, but he's got to keep on going, and those last 3 points might be the harder ones to get.
8-5 Londero.
Yeah, that's the one. Lovely serve.
Londero.
Whoa. 4 match points, is that? Or is it 5 match points?
No, I think it's 4.
4.
4 match points.
Set match, Londero.
And he finished the week on a high with a good prediction.
2-4, 10-5.
Well done.
A great match to finish, ladies and gentlemen. Please thank Alberto Ramos-Vinolas and Juan Ignacio Londero. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it falls to me to thank all the ball girls and ball boys, volunteers from the Roehampton Club for all their hard and hot work this week, under the supervision of our Director of Tennis, Dan Lott, and Paul Lindsay. Our ground staff, headed up by Peter Bradbury and Chris Hughes, who've produced a court here which the players have compared to the very best at the Wimbledon Championships. Thank you very much indeed to them. To our line judges and umpires from all over the world, we thank you so much for officiating for us. And to our tournament referee, who behind the scenes keeps everything going, Matt Byford. Thank you very much indeed, Matt. To all the Roehampton Club staff and volunteers, and to Sarah Westwood and her team at GANT, and for looking after all the players. I'm delighted now to be able to welcome on court the presentation party, started off by Natasha Marks, who's the event director from Octagon, Mark Newey, the Chief Executive Officer of the Roehampton Club, and Fergus Patterson, the Managing Director of GANT UK and Europe. In a moment, we're going to present the trophy for the 2019 GANT Championships, but before then, I'm going to hand the microphone to Fergus to say a few words on behalf of our fantastic sponsor.
Thank you very much. I will keep it short, very conscious that it's a very hot day, and I'm sure everybody would just like to get to the pub and have a nice cold drink. Thank you again, just to reiterate, everybody at Roehampton, particularly the ground staff. I was fortunate enough to speak to Ivan Lendl, legendary Ivan Lendl, who said that he felt that these courts are actually in better condition right now than Wimbledon. So that says something for the ground staff. So thank you very much to them for preparing the courts. Thank you to the ball staff. Great job, guys. And thank you very much to you for coming along, because with no spectators and without the support of the members who allow us to take over their club, then this wouldn't happen. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the tennis, and I hope that you'll join us again next year when we have the 3rd GANT Championships at Roehampton. Thank you.
Thank you, Fergus. And now, with no further ado, we're going to invite the captain of the losing team, who I fear are the now generation, to come along and be congratulated. Alberto Ramos-Vinolas. Come on up, please. And representing the now generation who lift the trophy for the first time, please welcome Juan Ignacio Londero. And now, Fergus Patterson, flanked by the fellow members of the presentation party, will present the GANT Championship trophy. Ladies and gentlemen, we are delighted to have entertained you over the past 3 days. I do hope you'll join us once more when we return next year for the 2020 iteration of the GANT Championships. And from all of us here, we wish you a very good night.